This episode of Passionate Living is sponsored by BBB, Better Business Bureau of Upstate New York, and BAM, Buffalo Advanced Medical Acupuncture.
Hi, I'm Kat Miller. Welcome to this very special Best Of episode of Passionate Living. Today is a story that actually is one of Reefat and my favorites that we have done in all 5 seasons of Passionate Living. And it is about a boat by the name of the Golden Rule. This boat helped to stop nuclear testing in oceans and has an amazing history, and the captain is just delightful. And as fate may have it, I happened to be in Seattle, Washington, and ran into them. They were doing a tour up the coast and got to see my old friend and got to be on the boat again in Seattle, and that was just a real joy for me. And the story came to me from my friend Kelly Miracle, who I've known for decades. And Kelly always has the best ideas and the best people that she brings to Passionate Living. So special shout out to Kelly today. And a special thank you to you for watching our Best of Passionate Living. Now, on with our show. I'm here with Captain Kiko Johnston Kitazawa, and you are just remarkable. You're a wealth of information, and I feel like I'm at family meeting you today. It's just been wonderful to talk with you. And you are the captain of this amazing ship, the Golden Rule. Can you tell me a little bit about the boat itself?
The boat is the star of the show for sure. So this vessel, the Golden Rule, was built in between 1956 and 1958. And in 1958, 4 Quaker pacifists from Long Island and Connecticut decided that the usual methods of objecting to nuclear testing in the atmosphere were not working. Letters to the editor, op-ed pieces, trying to phone up the president, not getting anywhere. So they decided to get a little boat and sail to the nuclear testing area in the Marshall Islands in the Western Pacific. And so they went looking for a boat and bought this one. And I'm told it already had the name Golden Rule, which is kind of like, if you don't want to get bombed, don't go bombing people.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
So they headed out, they announced their intention, we're going to sail into the nuclear testing area. And they had to come back because there was a big gale. And then they replaced a crew member who'd been seasick and headed out again. And by that time, the Atomic Energy Commission had made up a rule saying that this large area of the Pacific international waters were off limits and you couldn't go there. So when they got to Honolulu to reprovision and tried to sail out, the Coast Guard stopped them. And when they tried again, they were arrested and put in jail. There was another vessel there named the Phoenix of Hiroshima that was owned by an American doctor who'd been hired by the US government to study the effects of radiation on people in Hiroshima. And he was so perturbed by what he'd seen that when his job finished, he built a boat and sailed around the world with his family and 3 young Japanese sailors. They were in Honolulu on their last leg of the around the world back to Japan. And when the Golden Rule's crew got arrested, they had a little family meeting and decided, we'll go. But they didn't feel the need to tell everybody. So they got all the way to the Marshall Islands before the Navy detained them, arrested him, and sent him back to Honolulu for trial. He was convicted of trespassing.
I got involved in peace work in 2006 at a time when I didn't even know there was such a thing as a peace movement. But I met my partner and I asked him, what do you do? And he said, I'm a peace activist. So that same year, we both joined Veterans for Peace. He's a veteran. They were producing elements that don't exist in nature. One of those elements is strontium-90. It acts very much like calcium, and it was blowing all over the planet. And because it acts like calcium, it was getting into our babies' teeth and bones as they were growing. They were getting into mother's milk and cow's milk, and women were testing their milk for radiation before they would feed it to their children.
The indignation that many people felt at seeing these made-up rules and high-handed kind of actions, combined with the concern people had about the radiation that was spreading all over the world, led to the signing of the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty in 1963. It's called the Partial or Atmospheric Test Ban. Just don't blow them up in the air anymore. Took a lot longer to get to don't blow them up underground either. And it took even longer, but it's there now. All these little flags here are this countries that are ratified the Nuclear Weapons Ban Treaty, which puts nuclear weapons in the same category as poison gas or germ warfare. It makes it illegal to manufacture, possess, use, threaten to use, hand off to other people to use nuclear weapons, as long as the 9 countries that still have nuclear weapons haven't signed on yet. We've still got a little persuading to do.
Yeah, a little problem yet. Yeah.
Remember the successes, though.
Exactly.
They got the nuclear
Everything
testing
but
stopped back in the 60s, and then in the 80s, they went from 36,000 nuclear weapons and 3,000 new ones every year down to 8,000 or 9,000 and no new ones for almost 30 years. And I'd say the last 5 or 6 years, everybody's been kind of backsliding on that. But that reminds us that problem isn't solved. The urgency of needing to do something about that still exists.
One of the 5 founding principles of Veterans for Peace is to end the arms race and ultimately seek the elimination of nuclear weapons. This boat is an icon for that because it represents a different way of thinking about how to do protest.
The organization called Veterans for Peace is made up of both veterans and associate members.
Right.
I'm actually not even a member, I'm just their captain, but I support most of their aims and met a bunch of really great people doing good things. I've heard before and seen firsthand that the people who experienced war, and you told me earlier about your father and this, so are the ones who best understand that it needs to not keep happening. And
there are no winners. There are no winners in war, because whoever comes back, it comes back broken. And you hear the people, the proponents, who say, well, if we didn't have a nuclear bomb, someone else would bomb us. And that's the mindset that has 9 countries still existing with nuclear bombs and the ability to drop them.
when the treaty was ratified, I was captaining the Golden Rule on Oahu, which is home to many military bases, as well as the vast majority of the Hawaiian people. And so it would probably be one of the first places a nuclear weapon would be used. And it's definitely a place where nuclear weapons are stored and implied or explicitly threatened to be used against others. The treaty became ratified right while we were there, and I was asked to write an op-ed piece, and I took some examples from Hawaiian history where we had this concept of makahiki, the 4 months of the year, the New Year's season, where warfare was forbidden. People go, well, if you got rid of it for 4 months, why didn't you get rid of it all the time? What's wrong with you people? Yeah, and it's like, if it were easy, it would have happened a long time ago, right? And other countries and international agreements limit the horrors of war, you know, prohibit attacking civilians, for example, or ban poison gas, or regulate the treatment of captives. What if somebody cheats or doesn't follow the treaty?
Right.
So I say, okay, we have laws against murder, right? Unfortunately, sometimes people still murder people. Have you ever heard anyone seriously suggest, you know, we should take those laws off the books because what if somebody doesn't follow them? No. Yeah?
No.
It's so a treaty, like a law, is an aspiration of how we should be or how we would like to be. And we had verifiable, right? We had agreements where you can keep track of what someone else is doing. The last few years of backsliding, part of it saying we're going to have more, better, bigger, badder nuclear weapons by all the major nuclear powers, but another part of it is we're going to back out of those treaties where we check on each other. So this is kind of like the definition of the difference between civilization and barbarism. Is it all going to be just who's the strongest, or is it going to be collaborative and working together? Did you know the Golden Rule was sold after the Quakers did that and dropped out of sight for many years and then sank in Humboldt Bay in a gale? And Veterans for Peace, the shipyard had dragged it up the beach and they were going to have a beach bonfire. And somebody said, that's that Golden Rule. What's the Golden Rule? That's that boat that those guys stopped the atomic bomb testing with. They decided to rebuild it. Asked for a year in the shipyard, lots of volunteers. 5 years later, they finished it. And they sent it up and down the West Coast. So it's been to Vancouver, British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, California, and Mexico. One of the projects of Veterans for Peace is deported veterans. U.S. people were offered, if they didn't have citizenship, the chance of enlisting in the military and getting their citizenship. And then the policies changed and some of these veterans were being deported. So Golden Rule would go there and take them for a sail, and by way of, we haven't forgotten about you. And Veterans for Peace had a person there helping them with their applications to get reinstated and things like that. But one of the original goals when the Veterans for Peace rebuilt this vessel was to sail all the navigable waters of the United States. And there's something called the Great Loop, which is roughly, you could start at the Great Lakes and go down the rivers to the Gulf and then go around Florida and up the East Coast and then up the Hudson or Lake Champlain or the St. Lawrence or the canal to the Great Lakes and then back to Chicago. And last year I was the captain for 6 months down the Mississippi. We couldn't go all the way because of the low water, so we had to divert and go up the Ohio, up through the Tennessee Valley Lakes and down the Tombigbee to Mobile, around Florida and across the Gulf, and we had the chance to sail to Cuba, Havana, and then we came back to Miami. The reason for going to Cuba was in part because that's where the world had a close call with nuclear war,
How many people crew the boat?
Usually there are 4.
There's 4 of you.
Especially on an ocean crossing, and there'd be 2 on deck and 2 below.
Right. So you live in pretty close quarters down here.
Yes.
You have to all like each other.
No, but you have, we do like each other, and you have to be willing to work with the, the individual, what do you call, characteristics of people different than yourself, right? And respect people for their abilities and not hold their different way of doing things against them. This is the main cabin, and it's about the size of your average bathroom in a house at home. And so it's about 12 feet long. And coming down the companionway or hatch in here, this central counter here has a sink in it with a hand pump water from a jug. Under this counter is the engine. It's a little 3-cylinder diesel that's used to propel us in the ocean when there's no wind, in and out of harbors, and also on the canals when we have to take our mast down and we can't use the sails. So over here's a sliding tray that comes out to get the stove out from under the overhead so we don't light anything over it on fire. It's a 2-burner stove. And then this is the mate's berth or bunk. And this is called a settee. It's like where we sit. This is our drop leaf table. We can squeeze 6 intimate friends around it for dinner. Captain's berth is over there behind that towel. In the interest of decorum, we won't open that up and show you our porta potty, but there is one. And up forward there are what's called V berths because it's a V and the mast comes down between them.
Back up on the back again. Ah, beautiful. It's like coming out every day and being out here and seeing water, but seeing something new.
Yeah,
got
on
the
the inland
silos
waters,
in the
it's like that.
background.
You get to sit here and look
Yeah.
at the view. Crossing the ocean, sometimes you got to come up here and take out one hatch board and hang on and put one there and another one, and then you got to hang on here, and the deck's like this, and it's moving around, and you got to claw your way up over here and get yourself braced in. But it's not always like that.
It's not always like that.
So careful not to sit in that puddle.
Yeah.
But this is a tiller, and a tiller is a simple lever that controls the rudder directly rather than. So.
You got into a very specialized type of boating, right?
So I mentioned before I'm part Hawaiian, and
Yeah.
so when I came home from boat building school, you know, he'd teach you to build all kinds of boats, but I'm most interested in the wa'akaulua, or the Hawaiian double-hulled sailing canoe, or the wa'akaukahi, or the single canoe with an outrigger float on one side. So I've been doing the last 30 years of doing historical sailing excursions aboard those and teaching school kids how to build them and sail them, and giving talks at libraries, museums, and national parks.
That's beautiful.
This line here, that once the sail's up allows it to go out or pull it in, is called the sheet. So would you please untie that from right there?
Absolutely. I like this. I feel like I'm practicing to be on the crew.
You are. That's why I'm having to do it. This is a tutorial. Haul on that to raise this. Pull down on that.
Hold on this.
Yep. See how this is coming up?
Right.
See how it's in 2 parts? This gives you more power. So you don't have to pull as hard, but you have to pull farther. Okay, haul away as fast as you can. Just drop the line at your feet and just keep pulling. Keep away, haul away, haul for South Coast Race. Yeah. Keep going, you're doing it. Go, 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 go. Okay, take a turn under this cleat here. The next step is look at the shape of the sail. See how it's a little baggy? Watch what happens when I literally lower the boom.
Okay. Oh, so that's actually lowering the boom.
Yeah, if you forgot and let this slip and somebody were under there, that would be bad, right?
Yeah.
And then make your half bow, like tying a shoelace, but instead of 2 bows, only 1 bow.
Oh, okay.
And you know the difference between a granny knot and a square knot.
Right.
Sailor girl.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now you sang a song earlier. Could you sing a version of, could you sing that song? Because I think it would be beautiful to have in the background as we...
So it's a very famous song that one of our most respected cultural elders, Edith Kanakaole, she's on a coin now.
Ooh,
yeah.
Wow.
And she was a hula expert and teacher, and her family continues the tradition. And so she made a song about, on the surface, it's about harvesting different kinds of edible seaweeds along the shoreline. The background on this is when you're doing your sound test, you asked me to make a sound, so I just did that.
You started singing this wonderful song, and I'm like, oh my gosh, please sing that.
E ho'oheno ke ike aku, ke kahimoana nui la, nui ke aloha e poine, me ke aloha lipo.
It's beautiful. Scouts?
A reef knot has a half bow in it, so it's easy to let go.
A reef knot, and I have a reefot. They're
Watch
close.
this.
Reef knot, reefot.
See how that... No, this is a nuclear disarmament peace boat. This is the golden rule. That's a pirate boat. Now, one thing you don't want to do is step into this,
Right.
because then if it ran, you could end up hanging
Right.
upside down from top
Yeah,
of the mast.
that's never a good look.
No. Aloha.
Aw. It's like I just got to Hawaii.
I know. You sound like you might be flexible to having friends who are strange.
It's my friends are strange. I like them that way. Thank you so much for watching today. Remember to press like, comment, and subscribe. And if you really love us supporting what we're doing, become a member and we'll give you some great behind-the-scenes stuff that nobody else gets to see. And also continue your exploration of passionate living by watching one of these awesome videos. Thanks again.